Hello, welcome to another episode of the Residency Match Insiders. Today's topic is on Tell Me About Yourself question, which can also be worded in different ways, like tell me about your background, tell me about your journey, how did you get here, let me know more about yourself, kind of those situations. Okay, so start with, you will always get this question. It's one of those questions that will always be asked. Why? Because it sets the mood for the interview, and on whatever you say, the interviewer will start asking questions. So it helps them to ask questions about you, to ask those things that he's seen that you may be an asset for the program. So it is very important for you to practice ahead of time. What are you going to say on these first 3 minutes? And why is so important for you to practice the tell me about yourself question? Because do you really think that these interviewers, these program directors, these doctors interviewing applicants, or these residents have time to check your full application in full and try to find out about your life and about what were you doing a year ago and 2 years ago and trying to remember all your research? No, we barely have time to do our things as doctors, and then by the time that we get to sit and try to find out about this applicant, we probably skim your application for 5 minutes. Most of us. There are some interviewers that really take time and they read your interview for about an hour or days prior. But if you think about that, it's very unlikely, because each program may be interviewing about 60, 70 applicants. So how is that possible? How will that be possible? So whatever you leave, whatever you said on that interview will be the way they will remember you. And I've been part of these selection processes for many years. It's very subjective. After you pass the initial screening, which is your scores, your experience, your research, and all that is clear, and then you are given an interview, the rest is very subjective. Even after we interview all the applicants, we sit in a room and start talking. Okay, applicant number one says, I like him, he had this and that, and the other person at the interview you says, but he really didn't seem like a team player, so it's very low on my list. So then your application goes to the bottom. See, it's just enough for one person to have a different idea about you to just put you at the bottom. Very subjective. So we do have to practice what are we going to say in these 15 minutes. So let's practice. There are no specific methods for you to answer this question. You will see around people saying, first start by saying, what are you doing now? Then transition to what was the most important thing in your life? Then give a little bit about your hobbies. And other people will say, just be yourself, and start by saying how you started in medical school and then transition to university and then came here, decided to come here. There's no specific way to do it, but the most common way that has been out there, that is being known to be the most professional or the most attention-catching way, is by starting, what are you doing right now? Giving a little bit of information about that specific role that you have, maybe adding an achievement, then transitioning into the past, on how did you get to this point in life of being a doctor or trying to come to the United States, and then telling a bit about the future. What do you want to do at the end of this? In brief words, nothing very strong, because more questions will come. But if you practice this question and you set it for 3 or 4 minutes, 3 minutes, then you're in a good position. You're giving good information, but you have to practice. And why is practicing very important? It cannot be done the time of practicing that we're talking about, if you're an immigrant, an IMG, is not a week or 2 weeks, but it's more of in front of the mirror practicing. I would say at least 3 or 4 months ago, 4 months prior to the interview. Why? Because a lot of things have to be polished. You have to feel comfortable with talking in a camera. You have to find the right words. You have to help yourself with pronunciation and timing. And it's not easy, but with practice, like everything, you can make it sound like it's not coming from memory. You could make it sound like it is a natural conversation. You could add gestures to it. You could add feeling to it, and it makes a big difference. Because remember, you're talking to people. You're not talking to machines that grade your answers in terms of what you said or not, but they grade your answers in how thoughtful the answer is. So let's move ahead and say, what are the common mistakes that applicants are making when answering these very important questions? And what I have seen the most is it can be very lengthy, very, very lengthy. We're talking more than 5 minutes, and then that's a waste of time. Then most applicants, I would say a big chunk of applicants, are focusing on specific stories that make them come to United States, like a family member had such disease and that really made me change my mind about the future of medicine, or how I'm going to impact people, or I see that there is a big need in my country for this and that, so I came here for the best education. And although this can be used at some points on the interview, it's not for this specific question. This specific question has to provide information that is rich on what the program wants from you. So basically, you have to tailor this information to what the program wants. And so if you are applying to internal medicine, family practice, pediatrics, the most important thing for these primary care specialties is community service. Community service. Working in a team. Inpatient and outpatient care. Palliative care. End of life. Geriatric care. Adolescent medicine. Those are important topics. And if you show that what you're doing now, what you did before, led you to this decision to pursue this specific specialty, then you're giving them reassurance that you are that person that's ready to start working with them. If it's radiology, then how your knowledge about technology or your interest on technology to help making diagnosis led you to this point in your life that you decided to choose radiology, then you're at that point. If anatomy led you to this point in life that you chose general surgery, then you're giving them the information that they need. And it's not easy. It's not easy to set these questions if you don't know. Many times this year for the cycle 2020, many students that I had used 5 or 6 minutes to do this answer, and it doesn't give much information. You're wasting half your time during an interview by giving zero information. So let's practice and let's use the format of present, past, and future. All right, so by using this formula, if you decided to do these steps, for the present part, we're going to talk about your current role, what are your responsibilities in this role, and add a little thing that you achieve while doing this. something that you achieved or you learned during this period that is tailored to the specialty you're applying, that will make you a great doctor working for them. So this is what I prepare. I am currently working as a hospitalist in a let me do that again. I'm currently working as a hospitalist in a 300-bed acute care hospital in Lima, Peru, around on OBGYN patients, medicine, trauma, and ICU patients. I was recently appointed chair of the Glycemia Committee for Inpatient Management of Diabetes. Okay, that is just the present part. Now let's prepare something for the past part. How you got there, previous experiences. What I wrote is, the health system in Peru has improved in the last 10 years, but access to care is always a challenge to the poorer and uninformed. My passion to help others started at an early age when I volunteered with my mom at a local church in our community. I knew I wanted to impact people's lives in a more direct and personal way. Years later, I became a medical student. I think family medicine is the right fit for my passion for community medicine, counseling, psychiatry, geriatric care, and prevention medicine. I see myself heavily involved in underserved medicine, maybe doing a fellowship in palliative care at the end of residency. That's it. Now you mix those three parts and you have a whole paragraph that shouldn't take you more than 3 minutes to rephrase. Of course, by this time, you already practiced this paragraph 100 times. So by the time that someone asks you, tell me about yourself, you go present, past, future, with information that is tailored to this program. And I can tell you a couple of things I wrote that are tailored or raised eyebrows when you mention them, like glycemia management committees. Any committee that you can get yourself involved in a hospital, it is important for your program. Why? Because it makes them proud. It makes them proud to have a resident involved in hospital care. And you learn, you bring more information to your peers, you're exposed to all this learning. Access to care. If you mention access to care, you are in a good situation. Why? Because access to care is the one thing that primary care specialties are fighting to solve, are fighting to eliminate the problem with access to care that many patients have. Not only because they are poor, but because they don't know that they have these options like free clinics, like programs at the school that can give them the information they need, free medications. They don't know that. So if you bring up things like this, then you're probably giving some good insight about you as the future applicant or future resident that we need. Okay, yeah, I will do that. That will be my way to answer this question. I like this format. It's been there, people likes it, and it works better than you just coming to talk out of your heart what happened in your life. So please be prepared for these questions. It's gonna come to you in every single interview. Try to remember all these three parts, and by the time that you get it down after 100 repetitions, you should be good to go. Thank you.